My name is...
I'm Alex.
And I'm Paul. Alex is going to ask me some questions. His first question is, who am I? My name's Paul Roebuck. I'm a psychotherapist, which means I do for the mind what Alex does for the body, which is about helping people to think and feel different about themselves. Go ahead, Alex. What's your first question?
So first question is like, how to motivate yourself? What makes you what motivates you basically?
I think motivation, typically you can think about it in one of two ways. You can have an away from motivation, which effectively means you're trying to move from a current state to somewhere else, which is good, which works. So you can say, well, I'm not happy with my body weight, or I'm not happy with my body image, or I'm not happy with certain aspects of myself. So you can look at where you are and think, I want to move from where I am to somewhere else. That's one way. A more productive and successful way, instead of starting with an away from strategy, you're better off starting with a towards strategy. What I mean by that is, instead of focusing on where you are now and getting away from where you are now, you focus more on where you want to be. If you focus on that, you'll find the draw to it much more easy and much more understandable, and you can take it in steps. So let me give you an example. If you set an away from strategy, you might use your weight. Weight is typical what people use to the gym. So I might weigh 14 stone, and you think, I want to reduce that 14 stone, so you reduce to 13.10, and then 13.9, and 13.7, and 13.5, and so on and so forth. And all the time you're going away from where you are, which is really good and really rewarding. The challenge there is, how do you sustain that, and where do you want to get to? Well, if you change that round and say, well, I'm 14 stone now, and I start with a towards strategy, what you can say is, I want to get to 13 stone. That's a concrete target. It's a goal to aim for. As soon as you set that, you can say, well, how long do I want to give myself to get from where I am now to where I want to be? That might be a month, it might be 6 weeks, it might be a week. It's immaterial what the time frame is. What that gives you then is the opportunity to create the steps between where you are now and where you're aiming to get to. So instead of saying, I'm 14 and I just want it to go down, you can say, I'm a certain weight now, I want to end up at 13 by this date. And the very definition of that gives you a chance to peg out the stages and phases that you want to go through to get to the end state. So when setting goals and when setting objectives for yourself, please focus on the outcome. Focus on what you want to get to, not where you are now.
That's a good point.
Thank you.
Good.
You barbled a bit, but it came out eventually.
That's good. Right, now tell people the benefits of being fit, being active, training.
Okay, let's look at the chemical processes within the body, and particularly within the brain. If you reflect for a moment, you will realise you're just a bunch of cells that are at the command of your brain and your mind. And your mind, that thing in your head, controls everything about you. And what goes on in there, inside the brain, is a whole load of chemical reactions. And there are two key chemical reactions that we as humans tend to want to foster. The first is a feel good. We want to feel good. We generally want to be happy. Some people say the ultimate aspiration of all humans is to find happiness. One of the things about being happy is feeling good. And what the brain does chemically within us to generate a feeling of goodness is it generates serotonin. Serotonin is a chemical, and we as individuals have a finite amount within our brains, within our minds, within our heads. There is a finite amount, and what we need to do is we need to replace and replenish that serotonin. The way you do that, there are 4 key ways of doing that. The first is exercise. When you exercise, you physically generate new serotonin chemical. There's no denying that. Research any evidence you like. Serotonin, one of the key ways of generating serotonin is exercise. So if your serotonin is depleted, this little pot that you have every day, if that depletes, the easiest way to top it up is with exercise. That does not mean coming to a gym, but it means not sitting on your arse. So doing something tops up your serotonin. Another excellent way to top up your serotonin, and the simplest way, is daylight. If you sat in an office, get some daylight. If you sat in an office and the windows, the blinds are closed, open the blinds. Daylight, and sunlight in particular, generates serotonin. The third thing for serotonin, believe it or not, is talking. It's communicating. Researchers prove that actually talking and interacting with other humans generates serotonin. So even if you're complaining and moaning, you will be generating serotonin. Lastly, there are certain foods that generate more serotonin than others, but if you want to know about that, you'll have to ask Alex or Jason or a nutritionist. I don't know which specific ones they are. So serotonin is the thing that makes you feel good. Coming to the gym directly and immediately generates and tops up your finite little pot of serotonin in yourself. The other big reward you get from coming to the gym is dopamine. Now, dopamine is the chemical that you get for reward. When you do something good and when you pat yourself on the back, or better still, when other people pat you on the back, you get a rush of dopamine. It's the high, it's the fix. It's the same thing you get from chocolate. You know, when you eat chocolate and you kind of have a buzz, don't you? Some people say they'll actually get a physical buzz from chocolate. That is actually a chemical reaction in the brain generating dopamine. So you think about it for a moment. You come to the gym, you work physically hard. I've just done it now. I've done my session for today. I would imagine my serotonin levels are topped right up because I tried to max out every session that I could. But in addition to that, I've also had an awful lot of dopamine boost. I felt good about myself. People in the gym have acknowledged that I worked quite hard on that particular exercise. Or Alex walks around and pats you on the back or acknowledges the fact you've worked hard. It's the same in the office. It's the same in the gym. Being given a reward, being acknowledged and reflected gives you a dopamine rush. So the dopamine gives you the kind of high rush, and the serotonin keeps you feeling good. So those are the chemical reactions that go on in our brains that keep us either feeling pretty good and bullish and warm and alive about ourselves, or the opposite. If those deplete and we're not getting the feel good from the serotonin and we're not getting the rich rewards from the dopamine, what we'll tend to do is we'll tend to go and try and find that dopamine fix elsewhere. That dopamine fix can come in 1,001 different ways. Chocolate, alcohol, drugs, whatever they happen to be. Everybody goes to find their fix and their rush somewhere. I happen to get mine by coming to the gym along with dozens of other people that come here. Thank you. Next question.
Great. Next question. What shall I ask next?
State. Why don't you ask about state of mind? How do you get yourself into a positive mental state?
That's
and
good.
how will a positive mental state help you at the gym?
Good.
Good question. Yeah. Well asked, Alex. So, I recently attended an event by someone called Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is probably one of the best speakers in the world on self-motivation and realisation of your own potential. And I realised personally that when I was coming into the gym, we started in the morning really, when I was waking up, I kind of, do I want to go to the gym today? And, you know, maybe I'll go tomorrow. And I kind of noticed I was doing that habit. And then when I was driving to the gym, I was kind of, you know, thinking, oh, you know, it's not, just a little bit, I was still going to come, there was nothing going to keep me away, but I think I was kind of coming at 75%, and when we got into the gym room, bit of groaning and moaning and grumping, and I recognised that I moan anyway, because I'm from Yorkshire, but I recognised that I was starting to kind of moan a little bit, and I talked to one of the guys here, one of the girls here, and I were kind of making them moan, and we were getting into a bit of a moaning thing. So I realised what I was doing is it was part of my state, my mind, how I was, how I had set my physicality up, my mind and my emotions ready for a day at the gym. And I realised it was completely wrong. So what I've now started to do is I get my gym kit out the night before. What that does is that creates an embedded trigger in me that I think goes to sleep with me, knowing that I'm going to the gym tomorrow morning. That ain't negotiable. There's no putting it off. There's no delaying it. So that trigger at night is set for me for the following morning. My clothes are there. They're ready to put on, and away I go to the gym. The second thing I do is when I travel to the gym, I listen to motivational, high-performing music. I listen to the Jacksons' Can You Feel It, which is my favourite song. The guys at the gym will laugh because they know what that song is. But what that song does, that song puts me emotionally in state. I also do that, and I've always done that in my professional career. I've always had up music when I've been driving to work. So when I get to the office, people who say, you know, I'm on something, I'm all spiky. But what that does, that's creating an emotional state ready for work. And I've now adopted the same technique when I drive to the gym. Finally, when I get to the gym, I still have a laugh and a crack and a moan. I'm a Yorkshireman, so I'm always going to moan, but I have noticed within myself that when I do the exercises, I've recently decided to give it my all. Instead of giving it 75%, which is good, you get loads and loads of reward from 75%, I've kind of thought to myself, well, if I'm here, I'm going to damn well try to max out every exercise. What's the point of coming and giving 75%? I might as well give that little bit more, get that little bit hot, because you're going to burn it anyway, so why not max it out? So that's just a little thing about state. Recognise the state you are in and recognise the state of the people around you. If the people around you are down and dour and negative and in thinking can't, there's no such thing as can't, there's only won't. If you're wrapped around those types of people, then you're going to absorb some of their state. What I'd recommend you do is decide your own state, pick that state, be in that state, and drag those other people into your state with you. I think you'll have a more rewarding and fulfilling experience at work, at the gym, at home, wherever you happen to be. Is that it? We're finished. Say we're finished. Say that's it, Paul. Thank you.
That is for today, guys. The tips Paul gave you, they're amazing. You should try apply that from tomorrow, or actually from today. Don't wait until tomorrow. You should try to apply it, and you'll see a massive difference in your life.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Thank you.
If you guys have any other questions, send us a message, and we can do another video next week.
Yeah, if there's any other subjects you want us to talk about, then anything to do with the mind and your feelings and emotions and relationships and behaviour. I'm particularly interested in anybody who's interested in anger. If anybody's got anything to talk about around anger or got any thoughts about where anger comes from or what anger is, I really am keen to put together a programme of people to explore anger and how we can express our anger perhaps more constructively. So let Alex or myself know.
Great.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.